Hi, it's me, Lisa D. It's almost 10 o'clock actually on, I don't even know what day it is, Wednesday night. All day today I've been wondering what day it was, which happens to me pretty frequently. As I've said before, when you're retired and you don't need to know what day it is, you just don't pay attention to what day it is. But it is Wednesday. So today I had a little bit of surprise get together with all my kids, 3 boys and their wives, and 6 out of the 8 angel babies, grandbabies. The only ones weren't there were Gianluca and Juliet, the big ones, and then the rest of them were the 6 littles, as they call them, from 4-year-old Giuseppe, who's the oldest of the clan, down to the 2 babies, Luciano and Lily, who are, I don't know, 9, 10, 11 months now. Whatever they are, they're not little bitty babies anymore. And all of them are fun in what they do. They're smart and they're funny and they're so wide-eyed about things. I guess yesterday, Santino, who we call Sonny, PJ's oldest one, who's 2.5, they went to Kura Sushi, which is, in case you've never been, it's a revolving sushi place. It sounds crazy, but it's actually really fun, and the food was really good. They opened up a new location in Mission Valley, and they put up a video with Sunny looking because a robot guy comes, which I think some other places have. I know some of the Focadao pho places have it. And it's like this little robot with a tray on it and comes and brings you, brings your drinks to the table and some of your food, and it does all kinds of different things. So he was just like such big eyes and looking at it and completely enthralled, and he waved and he said, "Hello, robot," and then he said, "Thank you, robot." So it's just so cute to see these things through the eyes of these little ones. And you know, when they say from the mouths of babes, which is so true, they just are so uninhibited and say anything and do anything. And it's just so heartwarming to see them growing and see them become, people, and that they can talk and interact with each other, which is so cute. And now they're all realizing that their aunts and uncles are their aunts and uncles. And I see just the love between them and their uncles and aunts. And I noticed through the meal that the boys, when I say the boys, I mean my 3, were interacting with them. And although they have their own kids, they treat their nieces and nephews like they were theirs also. And you'd look and see, Joey would have another one on his lap that was his brother's son, or then PJ would have one of the other brother's kids on his lap, and they just really interacted him, and it makes me so happy to see them all, to see what good husbands and fathers and uncles and sons that they are. And I feel like, well, maybe I did do something right. When people would tell me how great my kids were and you must have done something right, and I would say, well, I guess so. I don't know what it was. I couldn't tell you what was so special about it. I just tried to give them the best childhood that I knew how, and went on, some of the things that my parents had done with us. And then you look and see things that you did like in your upbringing and things that you didn't like. And so I would kind of try to integrate all those things into how I raised them. And yeah, I think they turned out pretty good, I have to admit. I always thought, well, boys are easier when they're older and harder when they're younger because they're just busy and loud and a mess and all those things. And the girls, it flips usually, that they're easier when they're little and harder when they're older. And I still think that's true, although we have a couple of pretty tough girls in the group, because, well, there's 5 boys and 3 girls. And actually, all 3 of the girls, Juliet, who's 18, and Janina, who's 20 months, and Lily, who's 11 months, are all tough girls in a good way. But they will not going forward take any shit. I can just see it. And they're, surrounded by all their boy cousins, so maybe that's made a difference, or their boy brothers. Maybe that's made a difference, but all 3 of those girls, man, they're tough. And they don't take shit from anybody. And all 3 of them are stubborn and strong-willed, and they know what they want and what they don't want. And even at their young ages, they'll say it. And when it's no, it's no. I went out a couple weeks ago with Janina, who we also call Ninis or Janinis, with she and her brother, Giuseppe, Pepu, and I took them to Build-A-Bear, a week or 2 ago. And that one, she's stubborn. And if she doesn't want to do something or doesn't like something, she says no. And although she was great with her brother, and she says and does everything he does, Dulce, her mom, was telling me today that while she does everything he does, there's other times where she puts her finger in his face and she says, "No, Pepu, no." And I think, he's pretty good, and he's not afraid of her, but he backs off. So it's just funny to see their personalities all coming out now, and who they're like. And, my mom always said, I hope your kids spit on your floors, because I'd leave a mess around or it wasn't organized. Probably procrastinated like I did now. One of my downfalls, I admit it. But that's what she would say. I hope your kids spit on your floors. And I guess my reward was having the 3 boys who, yes, were messy and left shit everywhere. And that's what I got. So I look at these 3 little girls, and I've never asked their moms how they were when they were little and what their moms said or how they dealt with them. So I didn't know these girls when they were little, the boys' wives. I didn't know them when they were younger. So I really don't know what they're like. I only know what they're like now and the influence they've had on these little girls and that they're going to have. And they're, like I've said before, they're such good wives and mothers and daughter-in-laws that that I know that these little girls are going to turn out okay, and probably better than okay. It's funny, I'm talking about daughter-in-laws, and, people used to always ask me, don't you want a girl, when I was still in my childbearing years, don't you want a girl? And I would say, no. And then after I was done, they'd say, oh, didn't you want a girl? I said, no. I'm fine going shopping by myself. I'm good. It's perfect. I'm okay. And, I'll hopefully have a granddaughter, which I do, and Juliet, who's like my little best friend. And we spend a lot of time together, especially the older she's getting. And, she told me once, because she loves to go to the mall with me. And she said, I love to go to the mall with you. And I said, sure, because I bring my credit card. And she said, no, you're always the first one that I want to go with. And man, did that make me feel good. Not having girls